Hi, I'm Adam Bitton. I'm here with Ebony Bennett with GetTherapy.com, and today we're going to talk about frequently asked questions with regard to insurance in private practice and mental health settings. So one of the questions I get a lot is trying to understand some of the really basic things about insurance, like why is the copay not always the same as what's on the back of the card? I've probably heard that 100 times. On the back of the card it says really clear, your copay is this, and then it turns out that's not really the copay. So what's going on?
Right. Well, unfortunately, mental health is a service all its own. And so a lot of times insurance companies will allot certain benefits to the mental health services that are not the same for a primary care physician visit or any type of specialist other than mental health. So basically, those services are separated most of the time from the original policy. And so what happens is, if they have a really specific policy to mental health, during the insurance verification process, we ask really specific questions about that policy, about, as far as what the copay will be, does the deductible apply. We ask all of those questions in that verification process. And it can be very confusing. It's confusing to the provider. It's definitely confusing to the patient. The big plus about having GetTherapy or Arkansas Therapist Connection as a billing company is that we try to alleviate all of that for you, because we know that there are questions that are not typical to the normal person to ask. And so it seems unfair and unreasonable that all those services are different than normal services, but the fact of the matter is that they are, and we do our best to get all that information before the services are provided.
So there can be certain insurance plans that, like say Blue Cross, who have a carve out for mental health, which would then mean that another company covers that, correct?
That's correct.
So then you have to contact both companies to do that?
Normally, there are times when that information is listed on the card, and then there are times when it's not. So for that initial visit, we always make a phone call so that we know for sure whether or not there's a carve-out. And carve-out is a term that is not known to the average person. It basically means that you have a Blue Cross and Blue Shield policy, but Blue Cross, this particular network of Blue Cross, has decided not to handle the mental health benefits, and they have carved out those benefits to another insurance company, like United Healthcare or United Behavioral Health.
That makes sense. So what's the difference between a deductible and a co-insurance?
Okay. So it's all patient responsibility. The deductible is something that has to be met. There is an amount, usually it ranges anywhere from $300 to it could be all the way up to $4,000. But that is a patient responsibility that has to be met before the insurance will make any sort of payments. They will process your claim, they will allow a certain amount, and they will apply it towards your, say, $1,200 deductible.
Okay. And then as the year goes on, they use their deductible up, and then their insurance covers a higher rate of the
That's
service.
correct. Normally you meet the deductible. Say once you meet your $1,200 deductible, they'll say you have a $1,200 deductible. After deductible is met, your insurance or your claims will be covered at 20%. And so that is your co-insurance. It changes from deductible to co-insurance. And so we try to calculate what the what the allowable is for the insurance company. We calculate your 20% co-insurance, and then we update our system to tell you, the provider, instead of collecting this $166 deductible, you're going to collect a $32.40 co-insurance because the deductible has been met.
I see. So, so if my rate for a service is say $150, and they have a copay of $2,000, so they're responsible for the entirety of my charge?
That is correct. So there are several different rates that go out. We have a billed rate, you have an allowed rate, and then you have your patient responsibility, which falls under deductible, co-insurance, or copay. The billed rate, for if you're billing insurance, we normally set it at one specific rate, and we try to do it on the higher end because different insurances allow different things. So if we bill out anything less than what the insurance allows, they're only going to pay you what you bill. So once that allowed rate is billed out, once the billed rate is billed out, the insurance processes the claims and it comes back with the allowed rate.
The allowed rate. So what is the allowed rate?
The allowed rate is what the insurance is actually going to allow you for that service.
So I could bill them $200 and they could decide to only pay me $160.
That is correct.
And that's called the allowed rate.
That's called the allowed rate.
And
that is correct.
and the difference is the adjustment.
That
That's
is
what it's
correct.
kind of written off.
That is correct. We have to, anything that is over what they allow has to be adjusted off. And so we use that as a write-off in your system. If the allowed rate is $160 and they have a $20 copay, they will pay the $140, and then the patient will pay the $20 copay.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.